My name is Garrett Winkowski, Lieutenant with Orange County Fire Rescue, one of the 4 task force leaders here for Task Force 4. And we are all gathered here to welcome back Task Force 4, Ambulance Strike Team 501, Ambulance Strike Team 502, Winter Park MARC Unit. They did a heck of a job up in the Panhandle, and I think they all deserve a round of applause. Second, I'd like to recognize all the family members who came out today, and without all of your support back home, these guys and girls can't do what they need to do for over a week when they're up in the Panhandle, so I think you all deserve a round of applause too. We've got some fire chiefs here that are from the organizations that were involved in this multi-agency response. I'd like to recognize Chief Mark Oakes from Seminole County Fire Department. Fire Chief Chuck Carnesali from Apopka. Fire Chief Joe Sylvestris from St. Cloud. And Fire Chief Dan Hagedorn from Winter Park. So statewide, this response was of the magnitude that we haven't seen since Hurricane Andrew hit. Approximately 140 personnel from 25 different departments in Central Florida were dispatched to the Panhandle to offer assistance, searching, rescuing, and helping out, looking for the people who were lost, and hopefully they were found. This just shows Central Florida's willingness to step forward and participate and help out the state in the time of need. And on behalf of Central Florida, state deployment efforts were coordinated by Orange County Fire Rescue Division Chief Mike Vida, who has since been deployed to the state EOC to assist with the recovery efforts. So he's not able to be here today. But his responsibilities as the Region 5 coordinator have now been taken over by Fire Chief Joe Sylvestris from St. Cloud. It's no small task to coordinate these resources. Chief?
I think it's still morning, so good morning. So guys, welcome back, and thank you for your dedication and stepping up. You know, without an unwavering pause, we rostered you guys up, got you deployed, and got you staged to respond immediately. So thank you for that. So I'm Fire Chief Joe Sylvestris with St. Cloud Fire Rescue and one of the regional coordinators for the State Emergency Response Plan in helping getting these resources. I would tell you Chief Vida was the initial coordinator that got this all established, and now he's up at the state, and now it's on me to get more resources deployed. So I would tell you when Storm Michael was brewing out there, the planning process was already in place. The team here and other teams were getting rostered, resources were being moved, in the planning phase to make sure that we had the right resources in the right place if this storm hit. And it did. And it was one of the most devastating hurricanes to hit the Panhandle, if not the state of Florida, with devastating effects. In the wake of its path, it left thousands of buildings, homes, people displaced, just total destruction. Infrastructure was not there anymore, no power, no water. The human necessities that we all take for granted were gone. No food, no water, no shelter. And our teams and additional teams that are still deployed there that we're working on getting them relief and sending another deployment of about 70 plus personnel up there to continue the efforts and provide emergency services still ongoing. We are just a small part of the resources that were deployed to the Panhandle. There were federal, state, and obviously local resources from all over the state and outside of the state staged and in the response, and they're all doing great jobs up there. The impact that these gentlemen and men and women here faced were unknown. The challenges were unknown. And as you can see on the news, the devastation is just unimaginable. They went up there and they took care of business. They did a multitude of rescues, thousands of searches, and they actually made and are still making a great difference up there. So as we welcome these teams back, my hand and my hat just applaud your dedication and your commitment to take care of people that you didn't even know, and we appreciate that, so thank you. I'd like to thank them for their unwavering commitment to the public service and placing themselves in harm's way without hesitation and risking their lives for people they've never met. Thank you to the family, friends, loved ones, allowing them to do what they trained to do and their call to duty. Thank you to the leadership of the governments and the agencies that are involved and represented here today for your continued support in providing the resources to ensure that our responders are well equipped, trained, and able to respond to assist those, and no matter if it's here locally, somewhere in the state, or a neighboring state. Citizens and visitors should find comfort that when they visit Central Florida, or more globally the state, they're in good hands. This would not be possible if not for the leadership and dedication of the women and men before us and the leadership of the agencies and the governments that are involved in this response. So welcome back, and thanks again for your service. At this time, I'd like to introduce District Chief Greg Hewlett, in charge of the Florida Task Force team. We're going to allow them to talk about their experiences in the strike team leaders in the MARC unit. So, Chief?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you to the family and friends that have come to welcome your team back. October 10th, Hurricane Michael was blowing down on the panhandle of the state of Florida. They've called your Task Force 4 up and asked to help those citizens out. This team got together, these men and women, these fathers, mothers, husbands, brothers, sisters, all came together and left their home and left you all in good hands to go into uncertainty for the state of Florida. As the storm was still hitting, we traveled up to Lady Lake in Florida and staged so we could be as close as we could possibly be out of harm's way, so as the storm passed, we would be ready to go. In front of us was our rapid needs assessment team with Chief Walt Lewis, who was here today. Chief Walt Lewis, who was up ahead, that were feeding us intel of where the needs were. He had Chief Mark Hall from Seminole County with him as a hazmat manager. They were looking at where the task force could best be used, any hazardous materials that we would find, and they had our structural engineer, Brett Rylands, with them, checking the buildings and making sure that it was safe. Before daylight, this team woke up, 3:30 in the morning, got dressed, got their boots on, got in the trucks, and we're ready. As day broke, we started at the Homosassa Crystal River area. We sent a forward team led by Chief Aaron Rhodes. Chief Rhodes, where are you at? Right here. That group called ahead to all the state EOCs, Sheriff's Office, Police Department, Fire Departments, checking. Our job was to find out where the storm, the southern point of the storm damage was, and to look for assistance. We quickly made our way up through the state, talking with other teams, gathering intel where we could, where the roads were clear, and we made it all the way to Port St. Joe, to the Gulf Bay County line at the eastern tip of Mexico Beach. For a Central Florida team, we pushed further than what was expected. We outperformed the expectations that were given to us, and not because of me, because of them, because of your husbands, your wives, your sisters, and your brothers. Their dedication to help the state is what got us that far. The same day that we arrived, we started search efforts. We did not wait. I could not hold these people back. They wanted to help. And we pushed as far into the damaged areas to the most extreme places and started our search. 9 days ago, we started our mission. 2 days ago, we held our heads up high that we searched 100% of every structure, building, home in Gulf County. We helped the citizens that did not survive the storm make it back to their family for their final resting place. We helped those that survived the storm, that were having trouble surviving afterwards in the conditions, make it to safety. We brought stability to the region, helping out the local hospital, the Sacred Heart Hospital of the Gulf, that was so nice to let us set up our base camp in their parking lot. We supported them with internet and phone service so that they could get their hospital back up so they could start helping the citizens. We immediately responded to the Gulf County EOC and helped them with some of their communications needs. We brought in help. We searched 100%, GPS, Survey 123, all the buildings in Gulf County with our partners in Task Force 8, SURF-P, and other regions. 100%. That's a fine feat. This is your team. It was only my honor to get to lead them. There's many parts to a big operation like this. It wasn't just Task Force 4. Our region, which is all of Central Florida, all the fire chiefs, all the resources, emergency management that we have came together. Task Force 4 met up with some other great units, and I'd like to now introduce you to Rescue Strike Team 501 and 502 leaders, Chief Carroll from Osceola County and Chief Ward from Seminole County.
I have a good story to tell. Ambulance Strike Team 502, which consisted of 5 medical transport capable units from Seminole County Fire Department, Sanford Fire Department, New Smyrna Beach Fire Department, and Martin County Fire Department, deployed to Gulf Coast Medical Center in Panama City to assist with emergency evacuations of 151 patients. The hospital sustained significant damage to the roof, third floor windows, third floor interior walls, and water intrusion to the first floor. All the patients, their families that were in the hospital, as well as the hospital staff, sheltered in place on the second floor of the hospital for the duration of Hurricane Michael as it passed through Panama City. Our Ambulance Strike Team 502 experienced tremendous challenges while responding to this medical center. The normal 2-hour travel time was extended due to downed power poles, large trees, low-hanging power lines, sheds, boats, trailers, and other significant debris in the road. We also experienced limited communications, low fuel, no cell signal, and a flat tire. But 502, determined to get to the hospital, pushed through so that we could carry out our mission and do what was right for the patients at the hospital. Though the hospital staff had just experienced a traumatic experience, and the patients did too, but the hospital staff had to also maintain medical care of those patients during this hurricane. Their true professionalism showed as they ensured proper care and transfer of all their patients, and this was an inspiration to all of us as we took their patients from them. 502 worked through the evening and the following morning transporting pediatric patients as well as labor and delivery mothers and their newborn babies to area hospitals, some of which were over 100 miles away. I will have to say that holding the beautiful newborn babies was the best part of this mission, and we have pictures to prove it. So, upon returning to Gulf Coast Medical Center on Friday evening, 502 was met with open arms by the staff, the hospital administration, and given our own sleeping quarters and provided hot showers and meals daily until our mission was completed. I'm just going to say we're all going to get our jokes out now. We've heard all of them, but our sleeping quarters was located in the GI lab at the hospital. We were a little apprehensive at first when they were walking us back there, but we quickly realized that we had a nice, soft, comfortable bed, a nice, cool room to sleep in, and other folks were sleeping on the floor and in cots, so we realized that we were truly blessed and we could get over the whole GI sign. We just covered it up so we didn't see it as we were walking in. I never thought I would hear myself say I can't wait to go to ICU, because ICU was where our showers were, and that was said daily. For the remainder of our mission, 502 provided medical support to Texas Task Force 1 in Panama City and Florida Task Force 2 operating in Mexico Beach, and any resident that was in need. There was no job too large or too small for this team, and in a 7-day period, we had over 60 patient contacts, 16 transports to medical facilities, some with extended transport times. We provided rehab to over 30 law enforcement officers, to local fire department personnel, and to citizens as they walked up to the command post. We even provided rehab to one search dog. So it was a very humbling experience, and the humanitarian efforts that this team provided on a daily basis was just unbelievable. And though we were a small help in a tragic situation, this team's commitment to help the community speaks volumes about their professionalism and their commitment to the community. It still amazes me that when folks who have never worked together come together as a team and they do it for the greater good, it amazes me how we just come together and make things happen. As their strike team leader, it's been an honor to work with each and every one of them, and I thank them for a job well done. I would also like to thank the support staff from all the local fire department agencies, because we know that deployments require a tremendous amount of coordination and effort behind the scenes, and they make things happen. And on a final note, I would like to thank my fire chief, Chief Mark Oakes, for trusting me and allowing me to represent our department during this operation. Thank you.
Greetings. I am Chief Carroll from Osceola County Fire Rescue. I led the strike team of 501. They're back here somewhere, all back here. When I got the phone call at home, it was basically just getting off a shift, and they asked me if I could take a strike team up to the Panhandles, and at that point I said yes. So as I showed up, my crew was assembled, and it consisted of Ocoee, St. Cloud, Kissimmee, and who else do we have on there? Yep. And those were all the squads that we had, but we were mingled with other ambulance services as well. We our first day was a little bit crazy for us. We were assigned to a hospital, and when we got to that hospital, the hospital was shut down, completely shut down, boarded up. There was no patients, no nothing. And what we had to do to get there was just, I can't even explain to you what it took for us to get to this hospital. So at that point, we had basically no fuel, no food, and we're at an abandoned hospital. We moved forward to an airport, to where we actually met up and got lucky enough to meet up with USAR 4, all these guys. We soon attached ourselves to them. The EOC attached us to them, and it was a blessing in disguise. Our guys, I can't give you the numbers on patients, but I could tell you that it was a large amount, just as 502 stated, and transported out of the area, took care of all Port St. Joe's area, transports from the hospital, got them up and running with the help of USAR 4, and we did this continuously for 7 to 10 days that we were there, and without questions from anybody, the guys were in boots, in uniform, ready to go. And it was an experience. I'll have to write a book about it and share it with you, because I can't go over all that right now. I've got a lot of caffeine in my system. And my thing is, I just want to thank all the guys that have worked their butts off, and to bring some of the loved ones home, and all the rescues that took place, thousands of rescues. And my hat is also off to Chief for allowing us to tag along. And I think we'll have this discussion later on about why a strike team is needed with the USAR team. And then I would also like to thank my chief, Chief Sorensen in the back, for putting this all together. Him and Chief Collier did a fabulous job. And that's all I have to say. So if you guys have any more questions, I can talk to you out there. Thank you.
Team, one last time. Let these people know who we are. Task Force!
Forward!
Task Force!
Forward!
Task Force!
Forward!
That's good. Before we open this up to some questions, we have a special presentation. If I can have Heather Isaacs and her son Jackson come up. Well, where's your husband? Come on up.
Thank you. I'm Heather Isaacs, wife of Captain Isaacs with the Mark V unit. On behalf of all the families, we would like to welcome you home. Know how much we are so very proud of you. We love you, and we are so thankful that you returned home safe to us. Central Florida Cub Scout Pack 63 was so moved by what you've done that we have some handwritten cards from all the scouts. Thank you so much for your service.
All right, how about another hand for Cub Scout Pack 63? Before I forget, I also want to extend our gratitude to Task Force 1, who allowed us to use 2 of their canines for our deployment up to the Panhandle. So appreciate. At this time, we'll open the floor up to questions for our strike team and task force leaders. Does anybody have any? All right. Jackson and Delilah? Jackson and Lila. We'll do a photo? Okay, at this time we'll invite all the kids up here with their signs and do a little picture, at which time we'll wrap this up and you guys can break into individual questions with the other workers.
For members of the media, if you want any one-on-ones, Ashley, City, raise your hand, and we'll hook you up with your individual candidates. And I want to see signs and fire hats, pink, red. Here, you guys, go ahead, right back in there, right back in there. This is the best picture of the day. Mike from Orange TV, can I move this or am I taped? Where's Orlando? There he is. Orlando, do you want us to try and move this?
Hold on. I want to turn the speaker off before we start moving stuff.